we're going to bring some new life into this MacBook. This is my friend's 2011 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it's not doing too hot. It runs slow, takes almost 5 minutes to boot up, and the battery doesn't last long at all. After 9 years, the specs on this machine aren't enough to keep it afloat for the music production my friend uses it for. So we bought a few upgrades. We got 8 gigs of 1600 MHz RAM. That way you can keep more than 2 Safari tabs open at a time. A nice 240GB SSD. The hard drive on this thing is ridiculously slow, and honestly, I think it's about to die. The solid state drive should make the whole computer feel a bit snappy. And lastly, we got a fresh new battery. My buddy tells me the thing barely lasts less than an hour. That's no good. Alright, let's start taking this thing apart. Fortunately, the older MacBooks just use Phillips screws, so any screwdriver around the house should do the trick to be able to get in. Oh, that's gross. So there's a few spots we're going to be focusing in particular. The battery, the ancient hard drive, and the RAM. Let's start with the battery. Always remember that when you're unplugging something that has to do with electricity, always do it with plastic tools, no metal. It seems that someone's been in here before because these screws are stripped. A little tip when dealing with stripped screws, usually bumping up to the next biggest size on your bit can help get them out. Whoops. While we have some free space, let's replace the RAM. And just like that, our 8GB are installed. Now, let's get this fresh battery out of here. Installation is pretty easy. It's just the reverse of what... Wait. Bro, this plastic is too thick. It's bumping up against the chassis. Yeah, it's not gonna fit. This is the most ridiculous solution I've ever had for a tech problem. But will you look at that? It worked. Let's make sure everything still powers on real quick. After waiting about 5 minutes for the thing to boot, everything seems to look good. And look, there's the new RAM. And the battery cycle is at 1. Awesome. Fresh new battery. Now the only thing left is the SSD. I do plan on cloning this drive from the existing hard drive, so most of everything should be exactly identical. But you can never be too careful, so I back up everything I can on an external hard drive, just in case anything happens. Alright, that's done. We're good to go. This thing is really light compared to the hard drive. Alright, it's all hooked up. Now at the moment this thing has no operating system on it, so I'm going to boot into recovery mode where I can still manage drives and do terminal level stuff on it. I just hold Command and R while I turn it on to access this mode. Alright, while that's doing its thing, I bought this dual hard drive docking station that should theoretically allow me to plug in the old drive through USB. That way both drives are plugged in at the same time and can be cloned onto the SSD. God, I hate these plugs. After a few minutes, I was in recovery mode, and the drive was ready. I head over to my disk utility, and... the SSD is detected, but the hard drive isn't. Ah, well, we might as well reformat the SSD while we're here. I switch places with both drives, and still nothing. It seems like the drive dock isn't even being detected by the MacBook. This was $50. Don't buy this. Okay, it's the next day, and the Amazon man decided to pay me a visit. I swallowed my pride, and I just bought the cable that I was supposed to buy. a USB to SATA converter. It costed me $7. Seems to be powering on. Yay! Both drives are detected. Awesome. Now I just hit restore, and restore from the Macintosh HD hard drive, and we're good to go. Now, be warned, this took me literally almost 2 hours to complete. This process takes a long time. I assume it's because the hard drive is just so ridiculously slow. But once you're done, all you gotta do is put the SSD back inside, and you're good to go. Everything else on the computer should be the same as how you left it. Speaking of which, look at that boot up time. From 5 minutes down to a few seconds. I am really happy with that. And look, everything is just how we left it. Alright, we're done. Let's close this up. I turned it over, and I noticed that the bracket wasn't actually holding in the SSD. That could be a problem. So naturally, I whip out the double-sided tape and place a little wait. The old hard drive has these screws that stick out of it. I wonder if those fit on the SSD? They do. Nice. A few more finishing touches, and we're done.
Uh-oh.
This was a really fun project. I played around with it a little while afterwards, and I was really impressed by how responsive this MacBook felt. If it weren't for the size, I'd be totally comfortable using this as a daily machine. High Sierra still runs great on it, and for the music production my friend uses this machine for, it's gonna run super smooth now. I've seen quite a few people stash their old MacBook Pros in their closet and just forget about it because they feel it's gotten too slow. Maybe this video sparks some motivation to dust off that MacBook sitting in your closet and do something with it. Just a couple upgrades can really make these things feel modern. You don't need to be a genius, you just need the right tools and a YouTube tutorial. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.